you guys? I'm Chloe Rum, and this is Let's Cluck About Chicken. This week's question is, does caring for chickens make you a chicken tender? No, I'm just kidding. But we did explore a farm this week. Where we've been on the chicken's life. We've been to the hatchery where they grow, and then they get shipped off to the farm. Once they're at the farm, they get the feed that we made in the feed mill. So now, what happens while they're at the farm? As always, I do ask that you please pause the video and take the before survey down below so that I know you've learned something. I also do want to apologize again because the formatting got a little messed up because I filmed on my phone again. And shout out to Val Nasir, the farmer that I interviewed this week, because my phone actually died while we were there and she let me borrow her phone. And it really just goes to show the community that agriculture has to offer. Anyways, let's get right on into it.
I'm Far and Nasir. I just help at the farm.
We are Purdue family farmers. We have this farm here. We actually didn't grow up on chickens per se. We're from Connecticut. We had a supermarket up in Connecticut before we moved down this way. So we were in supermarket management and decided we wanted something different. So we happened upon chicken farming and we bought a farm and we made the move down to Maryland. Today it varies depending on what's going on inside of the chicken house, but we come down here several times a day. In the morning you'll come down, you're going to check the chickens and see what's going on after they wake up. Water, feed, light, how they're acting. Then we're going to come back in a few hours, double check everything all over again, come back a few more hours, double check everything over.
Yeah, it's very interesting thing about Val and Far is that they didn't even want to be chicken farmers in the first place. They just got intrigued by the flat chicken houses in Delaware because chicken houses actually have to be on flat land because that's the best way to do it with those really skinny long houses. And they got intrigued by it and then they just wanted to get into it and learn more.
Good. I work for Purdue Farms. I'm going on 37 years with Purdue.
Forgot we have to wear biosecurity to protect the chickens from anything we bring in to their houses. Over here I am wearing a Tyvek suit, booties which you can't see but they did go over my shoes, and I am currently putting on a hairnet. There's a certain amount of space outside of the chicken house that is called the perimeter buffer area that you have to also wear biosecurity within.
I like to call these tours Chicken 101. 38,200 chickens in this house, times 6. That's a lot of chickens on this farm.
Goodness, that is a lot of chickens, but remember when we were in the hatchery and she said that they produce a lot of chickens that they hatch every day? Well, it makes sense that they all get shipped over to farms to grow. We're going into the chicken houses, we have to step in this chlorine powder
That we would step in before we go in. So that's the last line of defense. Anytime we walk through the door, any doors on the chicken house, we should be stepping in the powder. Okay, and we also always knock because it's their house. Even though this farm has 6 houses, all of commercial poultry today, we want to be all in, all out. We don't want multiple ages on the farm, but we consider within a week the same age. So you can see how big it is. This is a 600-foot house, 600-foot house. So one of the misconceptions that people have is these birds are really crowded.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
when you look around here, we have this whole giant space here.
Absolutely. So not only that,
Yeah.
but they grow into the house. But what we do in order to save fuel, to save everything else, we're gonna place these birds in 50% of the house to start with.
Okay.
So you see that black, it's the second black pipe, right?
First
black
right
pipe,
here, and then
and the first
one.
black pipe there,
Yep.
okay? There's a curtain that drops, and a lot of times you'll see pictures, and you saw it already. If you look all the way down that house, you're gonna say, boy, they're awful crowded down there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, they're not. They're the same amount of chickens that are right here or down there.
Huh.
It's an optical illusion. And
Chickens are also very social creatures, and they like to huddle around each other, almost like penguins do for warmth and comfort. And, like last time in the feed mill where we learned about how all of the panels got switched over to computers, Mike was telling me about different tech innovations that help more efficient farming. So 36 years ago when I started, you would never see a farm this big. And part of the reason is you couldn't get all the work done. And you take this house with 38,600 chickens in it. Years ago when I first started, we had water troughs in the house, and they were 8 foot long and they held about 1 inch of water.
and the farmers had to clean them out every day. And you had one water trough for every 100 chickens. So that's 380 water troughs would have been in this house. So you start thinking about, and every day they were supposed to clean them. Okay, so, and dump them in a bucket and pour the water outside. So you just think about a time that a farmer had to spend doing that. There's no way you could have this many houses.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that changed the industry was the drinking system. So I'm going to show you drinking.
Yeah.
Okay, these actually start really low to the ground when they're baby chicks. And one of the things the farmers do is every time they come in, they'll crank them up. You want to keep them at about a 45-degree angle. So when
Years ago, before this drinking system was made, that they wouldn't be able to have as many chickens on a farm. But now with this drinking system, it's more efficient and cleaner water can get to the chickens faster, so then they can produce even more chickens. In with the drinking systems, the red buckets you saw right next to them actually have the feed in it that we made in the feed mill.
this is the second big thing that saved them time. They can set their programs. It's going to run the temperatures. Like right now, they have a set temperature. The average temperature is 72.9 degrees in the house, and they have a set temperature that they wanted around 76 degrees. And they have all the fans. If it got hotter in the house, more fans would come on. If it got cooler in the house, the heaters could come on.
The second machine, like some thermostats now, can also be controlled from farmers' phones.
And then the third big thing that's happened in my career was we went to what's called tunnel ventilation. It was, nobody really liked growing chickens in the winter, but you had a lot more control. They kind of like growing chickens in the summertime. You used to have curtains open on the sidewalls, and the air would blow through. On nice days, you would go, gosh, it's really great growing chickens. But on really hot days, nobody liked growing chickens. The bird's body temperature is about 106 degrees, and if it gets to about 108, they're going to die. And they're like dogs. They don't sweat, they just pant. So if you can't get the heat away from them, one, they don't eat and grow, and the second thing, they could die. Fans down there. Up here, you can barely see it, but you can see there's a black panels down the side.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're gonna come in. So when those fans are running, they're gonna crank.
The tunnel ventilation also helps to keep moisture out of the chicken houses so that the feed doesn't get mushy and that the ground doesn't get mushy and that the chickens have a good, clean space to live in. Systems that we see in the chicken houses are actually LED lights. But instead, like some humans, chickens actually get 6 hours of darkness at night. Yeah, I know, some of you don't turn your LED lights off at night. All of these new systems help bring for a healthier and happier chicken. They also bring the survival rate up to 95% so we can have more chicken in our grocery stores and on our tables. Then, Mike told me a little bit more about his background.
I graduated from Penn State University with ag business management degree and started out in the company as a flock advisor. And today, so I've worked in processing plants, harvest plants for about half my career, and the other half of my career has been in live production. So multiple different jobs in live production over my career. So the last 5 years, my job title has been Chief Animal Care Officer and Farmer Relationship Advocate. And it's really been a fun job. And the reason it's been a fun job is I get to work with the farmers. I actually enjoy the farmer piece the most. So we have farmer councils all over the country. Actually, Val and Far are on the farmer council, so you'll be talking to them in a minute. So really trying to help and work on things we talked about inside, communications, understanding things that we want to get done, but also understanding how we get things done from the farmer's perspective. So spending a lot of time on that. And then the other half of my job is the animal care commitment. You know, people want to know today where their food comes from.
Mike even says that he didn't even want to go to school for agriculture, and he originally went to school for engineering. And in years prior, he would give hundreds of tours of chicken houses to various groups of people. Mindy, the flock advisor, has a very important job. She has to make a connect between the farmers and the Purdue company.
I'm a flock advisor for Purdue. I've worked for Purdue as a flock advisor now for 3.5 years. I started my career in 2002 as a producer. I built houses and grew chickens so I could stay home and be with my children. It's a great opportunity to be able to work on a farm. But I love this side of the job as well. I get to build relationships with producers, help them, be successful with their business. And I know the work and the time that they put into it. We just visit farms. We do our flock visits. We order feed, communicate with the growers. We are their line of communication with the company. Just check on chicks and older birds.
One of the things here, this is what we call the daily mortality records. It's something that Mindy's going to do. She's going to come and track this down. And you can see that every day the farm's supposed to come in twice a day. And they're going to, minimum, they're in here twice a day. That's a minimum. They're in here a lot more than that. Plus they have the farm attached to their phone. But you can see they're writing down how many birds that they lose each day, and then how many they cull.
Chart based upon per 1,000 birds what their gallons of intake is.
If they understand the behaviors of the chickens, they will know a couple days ahead that, well, they just don't look right today. They're just a little off. They're quieter than normal. They're louder than normal. They're not moving as much as they were yesterday. So that's when they'll call Mindy and they'll go, Mindy, you need to come. There could be something going on in the farm. And good farmers, just like some good parents, will know that ahead of time.
She has to use a lot of math and science to calculate the amount of carbon, the amount of water intake, and feed intake that the birds have to make sure they are healthy and happy and ready for consumption. Mindy is a perfect example of that you don't need a college education to have a successful career in agriculture. There is a lot more science and math in farming than what meets the eye. We talked about technological innovations that could be done by future mechanics and engineers. We mentioned jobs in processing and live production, jobs that help with relationship building and to help keep the chickens healthy and happy, like what Mike does and what Mindy does. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to complete the after survey down below. I'll see you guys next Tuesday for the final step in the chicken's life with processing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Let's Cluck About Chicken on all social media platforms to join the flock.